This review is brought to you in part by Rogers Hobby Center in Saginaw, Michigan, where the fun begins. Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review covers the newly released 1957 Ford Wagon Gasser by Revell. It's a partial repop from the previous 2-in-1 version with stock and police options. This kit's number 85-4396 in 1/25th scale, and Revell rates this a skill level 5 for ages 14 and over. It contains a whopping 184 parts molded in white, chrome, clear red, and vinyl tires with metal axle pins. The decals are water slide, and the instructions are well laid out. The chassis is a multiple part unit and well detailed. The motor has nice options, and the interior is a multiple part unit, and the body is straight, and both have crisp and clean moldings with few mold lines or blemishes. The decals are top quality Revell units, and the instruction books are real good, easy to use format with well laid out detailed drawings of the locations, part colors, and names. Overall dimensions are length 8 inches, width 3 inches, and height 2 3/8 inches. Here are the decals for this build. The quality is very high and the color registry is good. There's a small carrier around each decal, but it floats easily and sets quickly. Normally, I like to use some setting solution when I put these on to make sure they conform to contours. And as always, during this build, make sure that you follow the manufacturer's safety and use guidelines for any of the products mentioned here. Start your build by adding the block, the oil pan, the heads, the valley cover, and the oil filler and the front cover together, and then paint those red. The transmission is painted steel. The headers are painted white, and the belt is rubber color with black pulleys, and the fan is black too. The intake and water pump are steel colored. The coil and distributor are black. The generator and starter are black, and the fuel pump is aluminum. The oil filter is orange, and the carbs are gold. Assemble the frame next by attaching the front suspension parts in place as depicted in the directions, except for the shocks. Assemble and attach the rear suspension except for the shocks there. The shocks are red or your favorite brand's color. The drive shaft is steel. Now paint the frame semi-gloss black as a whole. Install the motor and drive shaft and add the shocks. Now add the chassis pan to the frame and install the interior rear floor. Assemble and install the gas tank. The underside of it is flat black and the interior side is your interior color. I used flat black because this is the gasser. Gather the parts for the interior, depending on your version. I used the roll bar instead of the seat, and the roll bar is aluminum and the seat is maroon. I'll add the gray contrast to the seat also for emphasis, and the shifter is a flat black boot and knob and is installed there. Now pull out the interior side panels and firewall along with these peripheral parts for the interior. I painted the interior panels the maroon and gray colors and detailed the handles in silver. The firewall is flat black. The wiper motor and master cylinders are steel. Now add the wiper motor and the master cylinder to the firewall and install those. Then add the door panels and the rear panel to the floor pan. Pull out the dashboard, steering column, and steering wheel, as well as the decals used to decorate those areas. The column and wheel are painted and detailed to match the interior, and the pedals are installed and painted flat black and steel, and the tack is added onto the dash, and the decal is used for the face. Now install the dash and the steering wheel into the interior. Gather the parts to assemble the engine bay. Paint the hoses rubber color with silver straps on the ends, and the radiator is then assembled and painted flat black. The solenoid is silver and installed. Then install the radiator and the hoses to the motor. Paint the battery black with white caps and steel connectors and install that too. Get out the wheels and tires and give the tires a used look by pressing and rolling the tread on a sheet of fine sandpaper. I painted the spokes of the rims steel and painted the rims flat black with an aluminum rim. Then install a metal pin in each rim back. And note, the slicks and the rear tires have different rims, so install a rim front and rear into each tire. Now insert the axle pins into the wheel hubs with just a drop of glue in the end and make sure that they still rotate. Also, do the same thing on the rear wheels. Now we have a rolling chassis with that great gasser stance that we always appreciate. Attach the front headlight bezels and the rear taillight bezels. Then begin the body preparation. Carefully check the body for imperfections and mold lines, and wet sand the body with 800 or 1000 grit and wash it clean and let her dry. Now use a good quality primer and coat the complete car on the inside and out. Then wet sand it again to remove any blemishes, and then wash it and let it air dry to prepare for paint. Now choose your color and spray paint the exterior of your car. I used a mixture of pearl and orange here and used an airbrush for the paint. This car features a lot of chrome trim, so I used some of that metal foil adhesive and just pressed it on the places where the trim is, and then used a sharp X-Acto knife to remove the excess. We'll add the decals next. Cut them out separately and soak them in some warm water, and then lay them on the area where they need to go using some of that decal setting solution. I like the micro scale products, but you can use whatever you find, and smooth them out so that they look appropriate and fixed into the right position. Now gather the clear plastic parts and get those ready. I always dip mine in a solution of future floor polish and then wick off the excess and let them dry to give it a thin, clear look. And for these windows, I decided to tint them with a light orange transparent so that they kind of fit into the motif that was used back in the day of the gassers. After those have dried, install them into the interior of the car with some white glue. Now you can install the chassis into the body. She'll slip right in and has a nice tight fit. Gather the parts to finish the front end assembly. Add the door handles, the grille, the tube bumper, and assemble and add the fuel cell. The marker lights in the grille were already added earlier. Now add the headlights also. Get the pieces out to finish the rear end. Add the tail lights and install the bumper and the door handle. There are even some great decal graphics to add to the back end of this gasser. Depending on whether you've built the gasser or the stock version, you'll still have a good selection of parts left over. Here's the ones that I had, and you can save these for future projects. The fit and finish of this version were excellent. Also, the decals were exceptionally good, and the instructions were very easy to follow. I think you're going to love this kit. It almost falls together. There's very little flash, hardly any blemishes and injector pin marks. So once you get her together, she's going to look great on your shelf. And what a plus for the gasser fans. We hope you like this step-by-step review from Right On Replicas. And so that you don't miss any issues, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. But you can also find us at Facebook and on the web at www.rightonreplicas.com. Thanks!